Friends, meet Deacon Ryan and Wynsdey Adams. Over 10 years ago, a pastor's invitation led them to the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre, a centuries-old organization that looks after the interests of Christians in the Holy Land. Over time, their involvement in the Equestrian Order has led to a new family in the Holy Land. This includes yearly pilgrimages, during which they bring resources and help to children and young adults, both Christian and Muslim. I traveled with Ryan and Wynsdey to Israel about a year ago, and afterwards sat down with them, wanting to know what they do and why they do it. I started with the question, what is the Equestrian Order?
As part of the order, we are tasked with making sure that all of the churches in the Holy Land remain churches that are open to community, not museums, that the communities are supported. We we support the schools, the colleges,
The seminary,
seminary,
hospitals.
elderly care.
Right.
We ensure that people who want to make a pilgrimage and see these places, be in these places, experience these places, have a place to go. And it's still an active community of Christians in those places. The Christians in the Holy Land are dwindling, they're moving out, they're moving on. And so we are really tasked with supporting them so that they can stay in the place where Jesus walked.
During their third year of training for deacon ministry in Los Angeles, a homework assignment led Ryan and Wynsdey to establish the Our Lady Queen of Palestine mission, which, under the umbrella of the Equestrian Order, became a mission to help specific Christian ministries in the Holy Land. These ministries include St. Vincent's, dedicated to severely disabled children, the Holy Child of Jesus program, dedicated to the mental health of traumatized children, and Bethlehem University, an institution of higher learning where young adults receive degrees in a variety of academic programs. Each of these involves Christians and Muslims working together. As our conversation continued, I wanted to know why. Out of all the things you could be doing, why do you spend so much time and exert so much effort taking care of these ministries?
We both look at each
You
other.
wanna
So
go?
I think for both of us, we probably have similar calls to this sort of ministry. Mine is maybe a little bit different than yours. I've worked with children since I was 16 years old, specifically with children with mental health issues. So when there are children, specifically for me, my heart is always called to the children in need, no matter who they are. Not, I also feel called to be there for adults in need, but specifically in the beginning, children in need. My heart is always pulling me in that direction. If I see somebody on the margins, if I see somebody with not able to take care of their basic needs to grow and thrive in life and uphold their dignity in that, then I'm going to be called to do something about it.
The real personal aspect to it is, for whatever reason, we never brought children into our marriage. We've never had kids of our own.
Mhm.
These are my babies.
Right.
These are my kids, man. I'm a spiritual father to them, and I've had such a blessed, fortunate life that I can take care of them to a certain degree. I can financially help, but I also I have the time, I have the treasure, I have the talent where I can travel, I can talk about them, I can raise awareness, I can gather funds, I can go there once a year. These are our babies, man.
Yeah.
These are your children.
Yeah. And we go back once a year, so we know them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's kids
We've watched
there.
them grow.
Right.
We've watched them.
You've seen some of them grow up.
Yeah.
Some,
And we've seen some of them die. I mean, that's the reality.
You have.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen.
we have
No.
not been there during the death, but we know of, yeah.
That were there and that were not, that went on to their heavenly reward. I did have one of the greatest blessings of my diaconal ministry at St. Vincent's. The nuns called me into a room and asked me to bless one of the children who was dying, and I think died within the night or the next day.
Right.
And I was inaudible. You couldn't even understand a word I said. I just cried over this child, but that was kind of a blessing.
Yeah.
But to experience that, man, sometimes words don't mean anything.
I think that there's a different kind of gift in those moments. You get to be a part of something that nobody else is a part of. You're allowed to be present to somebody that nobody else is present to, and that that little gift stays with your heart forever, as you can see. You know, you nobody else gets to experience that unless you do this kind of ministry, and that's the gift of the ministry. We do what we can for everybody else, but there are little pieces and moments like that that we take with us no matter what, and that'll always keep us going.
But what do you bring as a deacon couple to this ministry? There has to be something. I mean, in principle, someone like me can do what you're doing. People do without being ordained. Is there something about being ordained and being the wife of an ordained that you bring to your ministry?
If we're talking specific about ministry and like what
Yes.
we do, especially with Our Lady Queen of
There are certain
Palestine,
things that you can do
right?
as
I have a platform.
yeah.
I get to stand in the sanctuary. I get a microphone. I can speak to a congregation about
Sure.
our ministry. I mean, I think that's a big part of it because we travel around. We were just in Nevada. We were just in Arizona. We've got dates all over LA and Southern California lined up where I get to speak in the sanctuary from a position of where people are listening and hopefully enjoying what I have to say. But I think that that aspect of it is a big part of our ministry because we can get the word out to a lot of people because of that.
It's true, though, that you have brought your ministry into that realm. Your visibility in the Holy Land adds to the depth of the ministry, your presence.
Yeah, and I think that's
Present, yeah.
that's cool to hear. But I think even beyond the outward appearance, I think the relationships that we've
Right.
made over there bring such a depth to pilgrimage now. Because I mean, like you said, you've been with us twice now, which is awesome. We go to restaurants, we know the Christian families that own the restaurants. We go to the olive wood store, we know the families that they're family to us. So it's like we go to the Latin Patriarchate, we know the people that work there. So I think the real depth, the real heart of the pilgrimage outside of some of the I would call what I look like a novelty actually is the relationship and the depth that comes out of that.
I love Ryan. Ryan is one of the best person that I ever met, and he meant everything he said to me. He's constantly bringing pilgrims to the Holy Land and encouraging pilgrims to support the Christians in town of Bethlehem, visiting churches, visiting institutes, and ask them to support, even though visiting the families in town of Bethlehem, sharing with them their daily life, how they feel, what they do, how the living is going on. And that's what I love about Ryan.
We're not only friends, we actually feel like family members with Deacon Ryan and Dame Wynsdey. The students feel very safe talking to them. They feel very welcome, very loved. The students feel very comfortable just talking to them, explaining the challenges they face to get here, living as Palestinians in the Holy Land, also as Christians, as a minority in the Holy Land, how the university is providing everything to them. So Deacon Ryan and Dame Wynsdey has been a beacon of hope for our students, like an oasis of peace. That is how I would describe the relationship we have with them.
One of the people we met in Bethlehem, a Palestinian Christian, and I mentioned to him how beautiful it is that Muslims and Christian Palestinians come together in these places, St. Vincent, Bethlehem University, and the Holy Child program, how Muslims and Christians work beautifully together. And I was on my cloud nine. And he said, listen, the only reason they're able to operate these Christians in these ministries is because they allow Muslims in. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able.
My response to just that piece about how we have to let Muslims into Bethlehem University, the Holy Child program, St. Vincent's and Carem, of course we do. They're still children of God, especially when you're talking about these special needs children. If there's a special needs child, I don't care if you're a Christian, I don't care if you're a Muslim, you're a child of God before you have any moniker put on you. So to that aspect, my response is of course. And if that helps it along the way, even better. But of course we have to let these children into there. Of course we have to let these students into there.
We didn't see any conflict, religious conflict, because both religions care about children and they both value the life of a child and the welfare of a child. So it was just perfect match. Catholicism and Islam meeting to help children.
The gentleman that you're speaking about has lived this experience in a way
Right.
that none of us can understand.
Yeah.
Right. And there's anger there. And some of that anger is pretty justified as well. And that is, that colors his view of the world that he lives in. And he lives in Bethlehem. So he is in the middle of that on the Palestinian side.
Yeah.
And when we understand, I can empathize with that. It might not be how I would like to see it. I would not be how I'd like to hear the experience. I would hope that at some point we can come together a little bit more,
Yeah.
or that, you know, he can have some good experience to counteract a lot of the bad, or eat just a little bit. But what he did for you that night was he showed you what his reality is. He allowed you to be a part of something real, not a part of the tourist thing or the pilgrimage thing that you were talking about, right? He allowed you into a real moment.
I really needed that.
Right. And I think that's also as uncomfortable or as kind of heartbreaking or as much as it changes your view of the situation a little bit there, it's also a gift so that you get to see and hear the reality of his life.
And of course, the Equestrian Order is firmly behind the Christian Palestinian because that's the mission of the order. And your comment to me was, well, I know where I stand. And so having to live there and take a side is quite a different reality than going in as a pilgrim for a couple of weeks and then coming back to the United States.
Okay, so we've got to go back. We've got to drill down real quick on the I know where I stand comment.
Right.
Because I do know where I stand, and you're absolutely right. The Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem, a Catholic organization, the Catholic order from the Pope down, Catholic order. Bethlehem University, a Catholic institution. All the places that we sponsor are run in one form or another by different orders, different communities, but they're all Catholic organizations. They're Christian-based organizations. When I say I know where I stand, we've been talking about the whole time. I stand as a man of the gospel. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a man of the gospel. If I'm going to be a man of the gospel, I've got to live out the message of the gospel. And if the shepherds came, or the angels came to those shepherds and said, I got good news for all the people, that's everyone. So yes, I may be a Catholic deacon who ministers and spends time in the Holy Land, but that doesn't exclude me from entering into relationship or working alongside and then sometimes hand in hand with Jewish sisters and brothers or Muslim sisters and brothers. We go to Bethlehem University. I have relationships with the Muslim students and the Christian students. Now, yes, our mission is to support the children or support the Christians of the Holy Land. For our mission, it's always children based and special needs children for the most part based. But like you said, every one of those institutions, look, when we raise awareness and I speak in parishes and I'm raising awareness, I don't raise awareness for the Christian special needs children. I raise awareness for the special needs children, and they're Muslim and they're Christian. That's just the reality of life there. That's the reality of what it is. I don't separate one from the other. I know what my mission is as a Catholic deacon. I know my mission is as a Knight of the Order, which is a Christian Catholic-based order. But my mission as a child of God, as a disciple of Christ, as a deacon, is to be a man of the gospel, to do my best, and I fail constantly, but to do my best to follow Jesus's examples. He excluded no one. No one. So when I say, if that's the wording I used, I know where I stand firmly in the middle with the Gospels. And that's being of service to any child of God that's in need.
Everywhere we look at the Gospels, Jesus is always doing two very specific things. He's always calling us into a deeper relationship with God, with himself, but also a deeper relationship with one another.
As far as who we are as a couple, when we go there in ministry. We don't differentiate who we minister to. That doesn't matter. When you say you stand in the middle, you stand in the middle with the heart of Jesus for whoever is around in need.
Try to.
You know,
On the other hand, at Bethlehem University, I had numerous conversations with young adults, Christian and Muslim, and unanimously they said, we love each other. I have a best friend as a Christian, a Muslim student said. Another Christian student said, some of my best friends are Muslims. So there's this, in my perception, there's this innocence.
I don't know that they're as innocent as you want to presume, that they're just idealists in a school where things are going well. You have to remember these kids still live in Palestine. They are still having the same experience that our other friend had. They're just younger, but they're maybe looking at it or being taught or being brought together in a way that didn't happen before. And so what they're growing up with is not the same thing that our other friend has grown up with. It's not the same separation and anger that their families or their great grandfathers would have told their grandfathers or their fathers. What they're growing up with is a little bit different. And this is the progress, right? This is the hope. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that they're as naive as you want to believe that they are.
I don't.
I think that they're fully aware of what their reality is right now.
And I think the
And
reality,
they're fully aware of their parents and their grandparents' reality. They're able to see some of that change. And our hope, I know for you and I, and probably a lot of people that spend time there, is that we get to see that little tiny glimmer of togetherness grow.
So this is the future. These kids are not going to change as the difficult experience of life there wears them down.
Or they will change so that the difficulties of life don't happen as severely as they did for their parents, grandparents, and great grandparents.
Okay.
Because with the community that they have created in the school is very different than the community that the Christians and the Palestinians had prior to the schools and the organizations that have been started in the past.
I think it's these young women and young men, Christian and Muslim, who are actually taking steps to changing the world, period.
I can imagine someone here in Los Angeles saying to you, we've got plenty of work to do here in the Archdiocese. There are plenty of children on Skid Row who need help. Why not concentrate all of these efforts here at home? Why take it all, well, at least much of it, abroad? How would you respond to that?
We live in a great country. Wednesdays on Skid Row, Monday through Friday. There's how many missions? No one's starving on Skid Row. In-N-Out goes there. Starbucks goes there.
Right.
You name it. Special Portos, Mrs. Portos, God bless that angel. Special needs facilities. You've got hospitals. You've got schools. You've got women and men who are nurses that work in this area.
And specialize.
Yeah, we have a great country. There's a handful of places there to take care of all the special needs children in the Holy Land.
Right.
And like I said, it's usually nuns that are doing the heavy lifting, and then it's Christian and Muslim volunteers. So we, at least for my heart, go there because they need help. We've got a great system behind us. Whether you like it or you don't like it, it works for the most part because we've got so many places where people can get support and can get help. But when you have nuns, and I'm not saying this to be dramatic, when you've got nuns that literally walk the alleyways and pick up discarded children, they need some help.
We don't ignore our own community at all. We're heavily involved in ministry in and around all the churches that we are at service at. And then, of course, like our daily lives are also filled with service in different ways, like we said, but there is a call for us because we are members of the equestrian.
Ryan, Wynsdey, thank you for taking the time to share with me and my audience. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having us.
Very nice.
Blessings to everybody.